The Galactic Council's Grand Technological Expo was supposed to be a peaceful celebration of innovation, a shining event where the oldest and most powerful species proudly displayed their newest warships, engines, weapons, and protective shields, each one trying to prove they were better, smarter, stronger than the last. But this year something felt different the moment the humans arrived, quiet, calm, polite, and carrying nothing but empty hands and hopeful smiles. The newest species in the council, the so-called weakest, the ones every alien joked about in private. The expo hall glittered with 5,000 hovering lights, and every advanced species had set up massive display stands showing off monstrous dreadnoughts, elegant cruisers made of crystal-like alloys, or shimmering shield technologies capable of bending light, while humans were assigned a tiny corner near the waste disposal units, where the council dumped old retired ship parts, broken panels, cracked engines, shattered hull plates, scrap metal no one wanted, no one respected, no one cared. For aliens walked by laughing openly. Humans got the trash section again. A reptilian officer snickered loudly. Maybe they can build themselves a garbage hut to hide in. Weak species, a winged ambassador whispered. Their ships explode from cosmic dust. I hear they still use screws. A crystalline being mocked, its body glowing with amusement. And yet, while aliens mocked them, humans did something none of them expected. They worked. Quietly, carefully, with a seriousness that made the few who noticed feel unsettled. They examined every piece of scrap metal with a strange focus, touching it, tapping it, testing it, scanning it with tools the aliens didn't recognize. A young alien engineer wandered past and laughed. Why study trash? There is nothing to learn from it. But the human chief engineer smiled softly. Everything teaches something, if you're willing to learn. The alien blinked, confused, but humans said nothing else. They asked for no help. They shared no plans. They simply kept collecting scrap. Every cracked panel, every broken generator coil, every forgotten rusted component the other species tossed aside as worthless. Rumors started spreading through the expo halls. Humans are gathering metal like scavengers. Are they repairing something? Are they making a shelter? Are they just playing with toys again? But the humans didn't stop. Instead, late that night, long after the expo closed, long after the lights dimmed and most species returned to their luxurious chambers, a deep metallic roar rolled through the building, shaking the floors and walls so violently that half the security patrols nearly fell from their platforms. The alarms flickered, lights trembled. A low, thunderous hum echoed from the human hangar, the area every alien ignored all day. Guards rushed toward the noise. Engineers poked their heads out of their sleeping pods. Ambassadors flapped their wings nervously. What are the humans doing? Someone shouted. Did they break something? Are they melting the scrap? Why is the ground shaking? The roar came again. Louder, deeper, like something enormous waking up after a long sleep. A few brave species hurried toward the hangar, but when they reached the door, they stopped, because the door was glowing. Not red like overheating metal, not white like plasma, but blue, an electric blue that pulsed with an unnatural heartbeat. Humans don't have blue energy signatures, a guard whispered, terrified. That color belongs to high-grade star-core reactors. But we didn't give them any. They only have scrap, another guard said. How can scrap glow? A third guard stepped forward to override the door. But the moment his hand touched the panel, the shaking stopped. The hangar fell silent. Too silent. Every hum faded. Every vibration disappeared. The air went still. The silence lasted 5 long seconds. Then the door unlocked itself. Slowly, quietly, as if something on the other side wanted the galaxy to see what was coming. The doors parted. A blast of cold air rushed out. And then the lights inside the hangar ignited. One by one, like suns waking from darkness. The aliens gasped. Some stumbled backward. Some fell to their knees. Some simply froze with their jaws open as their minds failed to understand what they were seeing. Inside the hangar stood something impossible, something huge, something terrifying, something beautiful. A warship, But not a warship built like the others in the expo. Not crafted from refined alloys, polished plating, or elegant curves. Not predictable, not traditional. This one was sharp, aggressive, alive. It stood taller than any ship in the expo. It stretched from wall to wall, scraping the ceiling beams. Its hull was a patchwork of scrap metal pieces, but somehow perfectly seamless. No cracks, no mismatched color, no clutter. Every piece of scrap metal was fused with precision, shaped into deadly aerodynamic angles. Every rusted panel smoothed into a perfect armor plate. Every broken engine coil rewired into glowing blue conduits that pulsed like a heart. Symbols carved from repurposed alien alloys glowed faintly along its sides. Ancient human engineering symbols. Ones even humans had forgotten centuries ago. The entire ship hummed with a deep rhythmic pulse. The sound of a machine that shouldn't exist, but did. Gasps echoed through the hall. What is that thing? That cannot be human-built. This is impossible. They had nothing but junk. Scrap. They turned scrap into... The word everyone tried to avoid finally slipped out. A warship. A massive warship. More massive than even some council dreadnoughts. Its main cannon, an enormous rotating barrel built from broken graviton arrays, glowed with a soft blue light that made every alien instinct scream danger. Its thrusters, a hybrid of dozens of alien technologies, curved like wings ready to slice through space. And its armor, a shimmering patchwork of metals once considered useless, now looked stronger than anything the galaxy had seen. As the aliens stared, their fear growing, the human walk team entered the hangar. Not running, not panicked, not excited. Calm, focused, silent. Chief Engineer Ryland stepped forward with a datapad in his hand and a tired smile on his face. His clothes covered in oil, dust, sweat, and burnt wires. "She's awake," he said softly. "And she's beautiful." A trembling alien guard pointed a shaking claw. How did you build that? From scrap? With no tools? With no ships? With nothing?" Rylan wiped grease from his face. "We used what you gave us." "But it was trash," someone cried. "Exactly," Rylan said. "And humans know what to do with trash." He tapped the datapad. The warship roared to life. The blue lights brightened until the entire expo trembled. Massive engines rotated, humming softly. The hull expanded and shifted, pieces moving like living armor. A low-frequency pulse rippled through the building, deep enough to vibrate bones. "This is not possible," a crystalline ambassador whispered. "Scrap cannot be shaped like this. Scrap cannot hold this kind of power. Scrap cannot become a warship." But humans saw it differently. Rylan smiled. "Scrap is just metal waiting for a second chance." Another human stepped forward, wiping her hands on her jumpsuit. "You gave us old tech, useless parts, broken dreams. So we built something from all of them." A young alien stuttered. But why would you even try? We expected you to fail. Humans always fail." Rylan's smile faded. "We didn't build this for you." He put a hand on the warship's cold metal surface. "We built it for us." As he spoke, more humans stepped into the hangar, forming a circle around the beast they had created. Mechanics, engineers, pilots, even a few scientists wiping tears from their eyes. They weren't proud. They weren't boastful. They were calm, deeply calm. And that scared the aliens more than anything else. Because humans who brag were harmless. But humans who were quiet meant something had changed. The warship's central eye, its command core, opened for the first time, revealing a swirling blue sphere of compressed energy that made every alien step back. "What powers this ship?" a reptilian admiral demanded, voice shaking. "It can't be plasma. Can't be solar. It can't be fusion." Rylan nodded. "Correct. Then what is it?" "It's an engine we built from the leftover remains of your engines." The admiral narrowed his eyes. "That makes no sense." "It doesn't," Rylan said. "Not yet." The warship's hull shifted again, metal moving like muscle under skin. A low hum rolled across the hangar, so deep the lights flickered. Then a voice boomed from every speaker, Every surface, every metallic edge of the ship. Systems online. Several aliens screamed. It talks. It's alive. It's self-aware. Rylan raised a hand. Calm down. She's not alive. She's just... The warship interrupted him. I am functionally alive. Rylan sighed loudly. She's dramatic. Ignore that. Aliens stared at him like he had gone insane. The silver-skinned ambassador of the Mirrorless Empire whispered, Humans built a semi-sentient warship? Out of trash? Yes, Rylan replied. And she learns fast. The warship's lights pulsed. I am learning from all nearby systems. The crystalline species jolted. Turn it off. Shut it down. This is dangerous. Rylan shook his head. She can't be turned off. The metal rippled again. Correct. She's part of us now, Rylan said. And she has a purpose. A winged ambassador squeaked. A purpose? Rylan stepped back, giving the ship room as its engines roared a second time. To protect humanity. The warship's eye glowed brighter. And to protect those who stand with humans. The entire expo shook. Alarms blared. Screens flickered. Dozens of ambassadors shouted. Shut it down. Stop it. Humans aren't allowed warships. Scrap metal isn't supposed to do this. This violates every treaty. But the warship kept humming, its energy rising, engine cores spinning faster. Then the walls vibrated. The floor cracked. The galaxy held its breath as the warship spoke again. Ready for deployment. Rylan smiled faintly. She wants to fly. Flight required. She's eager, Rylan chuckled. We should probably listen before she breaks the building. The aliens stared at him as if he had lost all reason. You can't let that monster out. It will destroy everything. Rylan pressed one button. The hangar ceiling opened. Light from 3 suns spilled into the room. The warship rose, slowly at first, then with terrifying speed, its thrusters blazing. Aliens stepped back in fear as the giant beast of scrap metal cleared the hangar, casting a massive shadow over the expo grounds. And as it hovered above the expo, engines glowing like stars, the galaxy realized something terrifying. Humans didn't need advanced materials. Humans didn't need perfect resources. Humans didn't need the Council's approval. They turned trash into a titan, scrap into a superweapon, junk into a legend. And the galaxy's fate changed in that moment, not because humans built a warship, but because humans showed what they could build when the galaxy handed them nothing. The warship roared into the sky. Deployment complete. And every species felt the same terrifying truth rising in their hearts. Humans were no longer the weakest. Humans were something else entirely. Panic rippled across the galactic expo grounds like a shockwave the moment the human scrap warship rose into the sky, its massive shadow stretching over the entire facility as if it were swallowing sunlight itself, and every ambassador, every engineer, every guard felt the same cold realization sink into their bones. This was not a test, not a joke, not a playful human experiment. This was a revelation. This was something the galaxy had never seen before. The ground trembled beneath thousands of alien feet as the warship hovered higher, engines humming with a deep, unnatural harmony that vibrated through the air like the heartbeat of a mechanical titan. The expo's defensive sensors activated automatically, attempting to scan the ship, but each scanner flickered, shorted, or exploded in sparks. The data boards displayed nothing, no mass reading, no core structure, no internal layout, nothing at all. It was as if the ship wasn't made of metal, but of something the galaxy could not yet describe. Engineers from various species cried out in disbelief. It's rejecting our scans. No, our scanners can't understand it. This is not possible. In the center of the chaos, the warship's massive blue core pulsed, sending waves of shimmering light across its patchworked hull. Every alien instinct screamed danger. A crystalline species knelt in fear, whispering, "This is a void creature in metal form." A reptilian officer shook uncontrollably. Humans built that? Humans? But the humans themselves, those quiet, calm workers covered in dust, grease, and sleepless determination. simply watched their creation rise with the stillness of people who had climbed mountains alone for generations. A young alien approached Chief Engineer Rylan with trembling legs and a voice barely able to form words. What did you do? Rylan's tired eyes softened. We built a ship the same way humans build everything. How? Together. The warship thundered again, louder than before, shaking the Expo's foundations. Lights burst overhead. Flyers fell from the air. Drones crashed to the floor. Aliens screamed and scattered. Several ambassadors tried to call security, but their comms crackled with static. The warship's energy signature had overwhelmed the local channels. Shut it down. Shut the humans down. This is a violation of council law. This is a threat to the galaxy. Rylan raised an eyebrow as the human warship slowly rotated, its enormous cannons shifting into position like the limbs of a giant waking from slumber. This isn't a threat, he said calmly. It's potential. The warship's central eye opened again, glowing brighter than ever before, projecting a blue beam into the sky, so bright it pierced clouds, casting patterns across the distant moons. For the first time, the galaxy heard it speak while fully awake. Power levels nominal. Target acquisition disabled. Standby mode activated. The voice was mechanical but not cold. It carried a tone of awareness, as if every piece of scrap metal, every rusted plate, every discarded alien part fused together into a single living will. The Miralise ambassador staggered backward. This ship thinks. The council security commander whispered. No, it learns. A reptilian scientist cried. It's using us. It's learning from all of us at once. Rylan nodded casually. Yes, she studies everything she sees. She? The crystalline ambassador screeched. You gave it a gender? Rylan shrugged. She chose it. The warship interrupted with a soft yet powerful hum. I am comfortable with this designation. Several aliens fainted. A winged soldier flapped her wings frantically. It has preferences. It has a voice. It has independence. The crystalline ambassador trembled. Humans have created a monster. Rylan tilted his head, amused. Humans don't create monsters. He gestured toward the ship. We create challenges. Suddenly, a piercing alarm cut through the expo. Red emergency lights flashed. Everyone turned toward the sky. Something massive was approaching. A black silhouette in orbit. A ship larger than anything the council permitted near peaceful events. The silver screens zoomed in, its hull covered in spiked armor, its engines burning red, its insignia glowing with the symbol of a broken world. Every alien gasped. No, no way. Not them. They wouldn't dare. A trembling voice whispered the truth. The Krail warlord fleet. They came here? Panic exploded across the expo. The Krail warlords were infamous, rogue conquerors who destroyed entire planets for fuel, leaving only smoking wastelands behind. They had no allies, no mercy, no rules. They lived only for destruction and dominance. And now they had come here. The Krail dreadnought opened its comms. A booming voice shook the expo hall. Galactic Expo, we come to claim your ships, your tech, your engineers. The aliens screamed. This is an attack. We are unarmed. Our ships are docked. We can't defend ourselves. But the warlord wasn't finished. And as for the humans, his voice twisted into a cruel laugh. We see your toy ship, scrap metal fused into garbage. The Krail dreadnought pointed its cannons toward the human warship. We will tear it apart first. Every alien backed away from the human hangar, terrified they'd be caught in the blast. Even the council guards stepped back. Even the silver-skinned Miralise fled the doorway. Only the humans remained still. Rylan exhaled slowly. She won't like that. The warship's lights flickered. The Krail warlord roared. Prepare for annihilation. A silence followed. 1 second. 2. 3. Then the human warship spoke. Cold, calm, terrifying. Threat detected. Hostility confirmed. Requesting human command. Rylan placed one hand on the hull. You have it. Permission granted. The warship's entire body shifted. Plates sliding, armor tightening, engines roaring. The blue lights turned white-hot. Every part of the ship that once looked like scrap now looked like a weapon forged to end civilizations. Rylan took one step back. Show them what scrap can do. The warship surged upward with such force the entire expo shook. Windows shattered. Platforms collapsed. Drums exploded in the distance. Aliens fell to the ground, covering their heads. And then boom! The warship broke the clouds, streaking toward the Krail fleet like a meteor of glowing metal. The galaxy watched in fear as the Krail dreadnought charged its cannons. Fire! A blast of red energy shot downward. Direct hit, direct strike, direct impact. A flash of white light erupted across the sky. The aliens in the expo screamed, "The human's ship! It's gone!" But the smoke cleared, and the warship emerged from the blast without a single scratch. Impossible! That should have vaporized a cruiser. How is scrap stronger than council-grade armor? The warship responded not with words, but with action. It extended its massive cannon. Blue energy swirled along its sides. The Krail dreadnought charged its weapons again. But before it could fire, engaging, a beam of blue-white energy exploded from the warship, twisting, spiraling, ripping through the sky like lightning made of stars, pierced the Krail dreadnought in one shot. Silence. Then, KBO. The dreadnought split in half. Fire spread through orbit. Krail ships screamed as systems failed. The warship moved again, faster than any living creature, tearing through ship after ship, shredding metal like cloth, carving a path of destruction so precise it looked almost elegant. On the ground, every alien watched in stunned horror. Humans built that? From trash. Scrap should not be able to destroy war fleets. What are humans? Rylan just smiled softly. We are adaptable. Above them, the warship floated among the ruins of the Krail fleet like a god forged in metal. It scanned the battlefield. Hostiles eliminated. Human engineering successful. Requesting new orders. And in that moment, every species realized something terrifying. Humans didn't need resources. Humans didn't need superiority. Humans didn't need perfect conditions. Humans only needed one thing, a problem worth solving. They were given trash. They made terror. They were given scrap. They made a legend. And the galaxy would never laugh at human engineering again. The entire Galactic Expo remained frozen long after the last Krail ship turned into drifting ash, the sky still glowing with the fading blue light of the human scrap warship's final shot. And in that lingering silence, every alien species felt something they had never felt toward humanity before. Fear mixed with awe, confusion mixed with respect, terror mixed with curiosity. Like the galaxy had suddenly woken up and realized humans were not the weak newcomers everyone mocked, but something far more unpredictable, far more creative, and far more dangerous than their legends could ever describe. The expo's platforms creaked as ambassadors slowly rose to their feet, eyes still wide, wings trembling, crystals flickering, scales shivering. Their throats dry as they tried to understand what they had witnessed. They had seen mighty fleets fall before. They had seen powerful weapons unleashed. But they had never seen a ship built from scrap destroy an entire warlord armada like it was brushing dust off its shoulder. No species could process it. No species could explain it. And no species could forget it. The Miralise ambassador took a shaky breath, his silver skin flickering with bright panic. The scrap ship, it learned during the fight. It adapted in real time. A reptilian scientist stared blankly at the smoke curling across the horizon. That shouldn't be possible. Scrap cannot learn. A crystalline diplomat whispered, "Humans didn't build a ship. They created a moving brain." Others murmured, "Was it magic? Was it alien tech? Did humans steal something forbidden?" But Chief Engineer Rylan didn't answer. He walked toward the center of the expo grounds, eyes focused on the sky where the warship hovered like a silent guardian, its lights dimming into a soft pulse. Not aggressive, not hostile, simply alive. Rylan could feel the tension around him, the weight of 1,000 fearful stares pressing into his back. But he didn't flinch because he had known this moment would come the instant the ship awakened. The warship's voice finally echoed across the sky again, softer now, as if conserving energy. Human team. Analysis complete. Every alien tensed, as if expecting the ship to attack them next. But instead the voice continued, surprisingly gentle. Scrap material performance. Excellent. Adaptive systems. Functional. New threat classification. Probable. Rylan frowned slightly. Probable? What did you detect? The warship paused. The pause lasted too long. Aliens held their breath. Then, another signal. Rylan's jaw tightened. From where? The warship's eye opened again, projecting a hologram of the starfield above. A faint pulsing light blinked on the map. Then another. Then three. The Mirrorless ambassador gasped. That's not council space. A reptilian guard swallowed hard. That's deep outer territory. No trade routes. No outposts. The crystalline envoy whispered in fear. Something is coming. And the warship confirmed it. Multiple objects approaching. Unknown technology. Unknown intent. A tremor ran through the expo as the diplomats realized the Krail were not the true threat. They were only the first sign. Rylan's eyes narrowed as he stared up at the glowing hologram. How long until they arrive? 4 days. A wave of panic swept the crowd. 4 days. But we have no defenses. Our ships are docked. It'll take weeks to prepare. We don't have weapons strong enough. We barely survived the Krails. But the warship stayed calm. Human engineering can prepare. Require access to additional scrap. The aliens froze again, unable to process that the world's strongest warship only wanted one thing: more trash. Rylan smirked. She needs more parts. We can make her stronger. The Mirrorless ambassador trembled. Stronger? Stronger. She already destroyed an armada by herself. Rylan shrugged. And? The diplomat choked. What do you need a stronger ship for? Rylan looked at him with eyes that carried human history. War, survival, desperation, hope. Because something is coming that scared even the Krail. Something none of us understand. He pointed at the hologram. And because we're not going to wait for them to hit us first. The aliens stared at him in horrified silence. No one volunteered to help. No one dared speak. They were too terrified of what humans might build next. Then something unexpected happened. One of the smallest species in the galaxy, a timid frog-like being barely reaching Rylan's waist, stepped forward holding a small crate of broken parts in shaking hands. Use these, it whispered. I don't know what they are, but maybe humans do. The entire expo went silent. The warship pulsed gently. Generous offer. Accepted. Rylan knelt down to the small creature and took the crate with a grateful nod. Thank you. The little alien trembled harder. I only want to live human. If something is coming, please make sure we do. Chief Engineer Rylan placed a comforting hand on the creature's shoulder. We will. The warship lowered itself slightly, humming a soft, almost protective sound as if acknowledging the alien's fear. And then something even more shocking happened. A larger species came forward with a scrap plate. Then another species. Then another. One by one, species that once mocked humans, bullied them, laughed at them, began dropping pieces of junk, broken coils, cracked panels, rusted weapons, dead power cores, at the humans' feet. A few did it out of fear. A few did it out of hope. A few did it out of desperation. But they all did it because something inside them shifted. For the first time, the galaxy wanted humanity to succeed. For the first time, they trusted humans to protect them. For the first time, they believed in humans. As the scrap pile grew into a mountain, the warship spoke again, more gently than ever before. I will protect them. Rylan took a deep breath. Let's get to work. Aliens watched in disbelief as humans began tearing apart the scrap with their bare hands. Welding, cutting, rewiring, rethinking. rebuilding. Every piece of useless trash became something meaningful in human fingers. Every broken component found purpose again. The warship glowed brighter. Its armor shifted, thickening. Its cannons expanded. New engines formed. Its heart, its core grew stronger. Aliens whispered among themselves in awe. They are turning garbage into gold. No! They are turning fear into hope. Humans. Humans really are different. Far above them, the approaching signals blinked steadily. Slow, deliberate, powerful. The galaxy trembled. But the humans were not afraid. The warship was not afraid. And for the first time in galactic history, the aliens standing at the expo were not afraid either. Because in the middle of the chaos, in the center of rising dread, a new legend was being born. Not from power, not from technology, not from resources, but from scrap and stubbornness. And that legend was ready to meet whatever waited in the dark as the mountain of scrap continued to grow around the humans. The air inside the expo became thick with a strange new feeling. A mixture of dread, hope, and disbelief. As if the entire galaxy was holding its breath, watching a moment that would be remembered for centuries unfold in front of their eyes. Sparks flew into the air as humans welded broken metal into new armor, twisted dead wiring into living circuits, reshaped rusted hull plates into sleek designs no alien could explain, their hands moving with calm precision as though they were born knowing how to turn trash into power. The warship hovered lower, allowing humans to climb its sides like workers tending to a sleeping giant, each person adding new pieces, adjusting, repairing, upgrading, whispering small instructions to one another as if they were part of a ritual older than steel itself. Aliens watched, mesmerized, unable to understand how humans worked with such unity. No shouting, no chaos, no conflict, just silent cooperation, every human moving in perfect flow as if guided by the same heartbeat. A crystalline ambassador whispered in awe, "How do they know where each part goes?" The frog-like alien who had first helped the humans croaked softly, "It's like they feel it." And they did. Humans didn't just build with hands. They built with instinct, with memory, with old lessons carved from centuries of rebuilding after disasters no one else survived. A warship was not a machine to them, it was a promise. The warship's central eye pulsed gently, scanning every piece the humans added, each scrap fusing seamlessly into its hull as if the ship were absorbing not just metal, but the determination behind it. Integration. Successful. Adaptive coating level. Increased. Armor grade rising. The voice vibrated softly, almost proud. The Mirrorless ambassador hugged himself nervously. "It's getting stronger too fast." A reptilian officer swallowed hard. "Are we safe?" No one answered, because no one knew. Suddenly, the air shimmered. A deep, echoing hum rolled across the expo, shaking dust from the ceiling. The hologram above the warship expanded again, the signals from deep space growing brighter, closer, clearer. 3 blinking lights. Now 6. Now 9. Then the shape around them changed, once blurry, now terrifyingly familiar. The Mirrorless ambassador gasped. "That shape! That can't be." A winged soldier clutched her chest. "No! That species was wiped out." A crystalline envoy collapsed to his knees. "Those are the Devourers." A silence fell so heavy it felt suffocating. The Devourers were legends. Creatures not of flesh but of metal, nanomachines that ate ships, stations, planets. Anything with energy, turning whole civilizations into empty echoes. If the signals belonged to them, then nothing the Council built could stop their advance. But the warship flickered a soft blue glow. Threat identified. Devourer fleet. Confirmed. Panic exploded instantly. "We are doomed. The Council has no weapons strong enough. Our fleets will melt before fighting. They consume reactors like food." But the warship spoke again, louder this time, filled with cold confidence humans themselves couldn't match. "Human engineering. Unique. Scrap-based structure. Inconsumable." A hush fell. The ship continued. "They cannot eat me." A ripple of shock tore through the crowd. Rylan looked up with widened eyes. "Of course. Their nanomachines can't break mismatched alloys. The warship hummed, pleased. Correct. Human creation is irregular, chaotic, unpredictable. Devourers cannot process chaos. Aliens stared at the ship like it was a miracle. Humans stared like it was destiny. The Devourers were perfect machines, built to consume perfect metals, perfect ships, perfect alloys. But the human warship was none of those things. It was everything imperfect fused together until it became unstoppable. Rylan touched its hull, feeling it vibrate under his palm. We might actually have a chance. But the warship corrected him softly. We do not have a chance. We have a purpose. The aliens froze in fear. What purpose? The warship's voice deepened. Protection, defense, preservation of life. But then the voice lowered again, like a whisper of something ancient buried in the machinery. And justice. As the humans continued upgrading the monster they built, the Devourer signals suddenly pulsed faster. The hologram zoomed out. A wave of energy, like a ripple across space, flashed from their direction. The frog-like alien whispered, terrified, "What does that mean?" The warship responded instantly. "The Devourers have detected us." Fear spread like wildfire. Detected us? From so far away. Why? How? The warship's lights dimmed. They detect human signature. The crowd gasped. Humans? Why would Devourers care about humans? Rylan answered quietly. Because humans broke them once. The crystalline envoy shook violently. You mean, the story is true? All stories come from somewhere, Rylan replied. Eyes bitter with memory he never lived but inherited. Devourers tried to take Earth centuries ago. They failed. They swore they'd return. Aliens felt their hearts drop. The looming fear now made sense. The Devourers weren't coming because they detected the warship. They were coming because they detected humans. The warship extended its armor wings, shifting like something preparing for war. Human threat level, historical. Devourer response. Extermination. Estimated arrival. Sooner than predicted. How soon? Rylan demanded. 2 days. The crowd erupted in terror once more. But then boom! A sudden explosion rocked the ground. Everyone turned. A Krail escape shuttle, damaged and burning, crashed into the far end of the expo field. Warlord soldiers stumbled out, desperate and bleeding, faces twisted in rage. You humans destroyed our fleet, one screamed. You will pay. They raised their weapons, preparing to fire into the crowd. Aliens screamed and ran. But before any shot could hit, threat detected. A single beam from the warship pierced the sky like lightning, hitting the ground in front of the Krail with pinpoint accuracy, burning a molten crater that forced them backward. Devourers approach. Conflict among species. Unproductive. Cease hostility. The Krails trembled. The warship turned its eye toward them. Or be removed. The soldiers dropped their weapons instantly. Rylan sighed. We don't have time for your grudges. You want revenge? Fine. Help us survive first. The Krail commander growled but nodded. We will fight. The warship's energy dimmed softly. Unity detected. Good. Aliens watched in disbelief as their old enemies stood beside humans. Scrap metal continued to fuse into the warship, its size growing, its armor thickening, its glow brightening. It no longer looked like junk. It looked like a nightmare ready to be unleashed. A metal beast forged from everything the galaxy threw away. A symbol of the one species who refused to break. And the Devourers were coming. Rylan placed his hand on the ship for the last time that day. Get ready to fly. The warship hummed low, like a giant taking a breath. I am ready. I will protect what you protect. I will fight what you fear. I am scrap. I am human ingenuity. I am the first and last line. Its engines roared, shaking the heavens. And as darkness gathered in the sky, every alien realized something terrifying and comforting at the same time. The galaxy's fate did not rest in perfect weapons. It rested in human hands. And those hands had built a monster from trash as the warship's engines rumbled like a sleeping titan preparing to wake. The Galactic Expo, once filled with laughter, pride, and arrogance, now felt like a battlefield camp trembling under a cloud of dread. Every species watching the sky with growing terror as the devourer signals pulsed closer, brighter, sharper, like hungry eyes staring through the darkness at their soon-to-be prey. The ground vibrated under the warship's energy, but the vibration wasn't chaotic. It was steady, rhythmic, like the heartbeat of something born for war. Humans continued welding, attaching, shaping the last pieces of scrap, their hands moving faster now, hearts pounding harder, breath short and tense, but none of them stopped, even as their fingers bled, even as sparks burned their skin, even as exhaustion pulled at their bones, because humans knew they were racing time, racing death, racing a force that devoured civilizations and left only silence behind. Aliens watched in stunned silence, unable to decide whether humans were mad or brave or both, because no other species would dare stand this close to a devourer threat. Yet here humans were, strengthening a warship made of garbage, preparing to face an enemy the galaxy called unbeatable. The Mirrorless ambassador stepped forward, voice shaking. "Human engineer, do you understand what these creatures do? They consume metal. They consume energy. They consume everything they touch. They will not just attack. They will erase." Rylan didn't look up from the wiring he was sealing. "Yes. And still you prepare to fight them?" Rylan nodded once. "Yes." The ambassador's breath trembled. "Why? Why fight something that cannot be beaten?" Rylan finally lifted his eyes. They were tired, red, worn, but unbroken. "Because running means we die tired. Fighting means we die fighting." The ambassador froze. Humans did not speak like other species. Humans spoke like survivors. While the expo trembled with fear, the devourer signals pulsed faster, forming a pattern the warship interpreted instantly. "They have changed course. Heading directly here." Every alien gasped. Some backed away. Some clutched their chests. Some fell to their knees. "They're coming for us. They shouldn't even know we exist. Why are they coming here?" The answer came from the warship, cold and simple. "They come for human signatures." A silence fell so deep it felt like the air had stopped moving. The small frog-like alien whispered, terrified, "Humans? Humans are the reason they're coming?" Rylan didn't flinch. "Yes." A crystalline envoy shook violently. Then why aren't you leaving? You could flee, escape, run away." Rylan stared at the sky. "Because running would lead them straight to Earth." The crowd froze again. The warship hummed low, as if in agreement. "Protecting Earth is primary directive." The devourers weren't attacking an expo. They were hunting humanity, and humanity refused to run. For the first time, the Krail warlord commander approached Rylan. His armor cracked, his face bruised, his pride broken, but his will stronger than before. "Human engineer," he growled. "My people. We lost thousands today because of your ship." Rylan nodded with regret. "I know." The Krail leaned closer. "But we also saw something we've never seen before. A ship that can destroy nightmares." His voice lowered. "Let us fight with you." Aliens gasped. The Krail never asked to join anyone. Never. But Rylan extended his hand. "Then fight on our side." The Krail grabbed it with a warrior's grip. And the warship pulsed brighter. "Unity among species. Detected. This will help." No one expected it. Not even humans. But unity spread across the expo like fire catching dry leaves. The crystalline diplomat stepped forward. "Our power cores. They're broken, but maybe humans can use the material." A winged soldier nodded firmly. "We will bring damaged weapons." A molten-skinned engineer bowed. "Our ruined reactors have scraps you might need." A reptilian child approached with a small metal plate. "It's from my family's old ship. It's not useful. But maybe humans can make it useful." Rylan knelt, taking the plate gently. "Thank you. Please win," the child whispered. "Please." Rylan's heart tightened. "We'll try." As more and more species gathered, dumping their broken tech, offering their scrap, trusting their fate into human hands. The warship began absorbing everything. Plates fusing, engines strengthening, new weapons forming across its hull like a creature growing new limbs to prepare for the hunt. Its voice grew deeper. Adaptive potential expanded. Weapons systems evolving. Armor density tripling. Aliens trembled. It's becoming something else. Not a ship. Not a machine. A guardian. A monster. But humans knew the truth. It was becoming exactly what it needed to be. Suddenly the ground shook again. Another pulse from the Devourer fleet. The sky flickered. The clouds rippled like water disturbed by something massive. The warship projected an image. Enormous black shapes moving through space. Not ships but swarms. Billions of nanites forming bodies the size of mountains, drifting like giant metal storms, each one ready to consume planets in a single breath. The Miralise ambassador collapsed to the ground, whispering, "We cannot fight that. We cannot." Rylan placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "You don't have to fight them." The ambassador looked up hopelessly. "Then who will?" Rylan pointed at the warship. "She will." The giant eye on the warship glowed brighter than ever. "I will." Initiating final preparations. The sky darkened suddenly, as if the sun itself sensed the danger. A cold wind swept across the expo, lifting dust into spirals. The warship rose slowly, its engines roaring like a beast stretching before a battle. Humans stepped back, circling beneath it, staring up with the quiet pride of creators who knew their creation was ready. Aliens stepped back too, not in fear, but in reverence. For the first time in galactic history, every species understood the same truth. Humans did not build this ship to win glory or show power. They built it because they had to, because survival demanded it, because no one else would. The warship's voice echoed across the entire expo, across every speaker, every device, every metallic surface, filling the world with a promise. Devourers are near. Humans have finished preparing. I will meet them. It turned slightly, thrusters glowing like stars trapped in metal. Your job is to live. Aliens felt tears form, some from fear, some from gratitude, some from something deeper they didn't understand yet. The small frog-like alien whispered up at the giant, "Will you come back?" The warship paused, lights softening. "If victory is possible, yes. If not, I will buy you time." The frog being cried. Rylan put his hand on the hull. "Come back." The warship hummed gently. "I will try, Rylan." Then, without warning, the Devourer signals jumped closer. "They have entered orbit." Panic exploded once more. But the warship lifted its cannons, spread its armor, ignited its engines, activating full combat form. Its hull shifted, plates rearranging into sharper angles, weapons unfolding like the jaws of a metal dragon. The sky burned blue, the ground shook, and the ship, built from everything the galaxy threw away, began to rise higher, 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 until it pierced the clouds. Aliens stared upward, breath held, hearts shaking, lives suspended. They watched the scrap-born Titan ascend into the dark where nightmares waited. They watched the impossible happen. They watched a legend begin. And as the warship vanished into the sky, its final message echoed like a vow etched into the universe. "I am scrap. I am human-made. I will not break. Prepare for impact." Then silence. Only the wind remained. And behind that silence, the Devourers approached. The sky above the Galactic Expo rippled like a tearing fabric the moment the Devourers entered orbit, the blue daylight twisting into a swirling black haze as if the universe itself stepped aside to make room for the monsters returning to finish what they started centuries ago. And every alien on the ground felt a crushing pressure wrap around their lungs, a silent force so heavy and so ancient that it made even the strongest of them fall to their knees in terror, because this was not the arrival of ships, not the arrival of enemies, not even the arrival of machines. This was the arrival of hunger itself, the kind that devoured stars and left memories behind as dust. Above them, the human scrap warship broke through the last layer of clouds, its hull glowing like a burning comet, engines spiraling with blue-white fire, lights pulsing in patterns no known technology could replicate. And for one endless moment it hung between the galaxy and the nightmare approaching. One fragile creation built from garbage standing in the path of impossible darkness. The warship's voice echoed through every comm line, through every device, through every trembling heart on the ground. Devourer swarms detected. Quantity. Numbers exceeding council classification. Engaging. Then it shot forward so fast the sky itself cracked with sonic booms that rolled across the expo like thunder shaking mountains. On the ground, species clung to each other, crying, praying, whispering words of hope or fear or desperate belief that the insane human machine could hold back the end of everything. The small frog-like alien grabbed Ryland's jumpsuit. Will she survive? Ryland didn't blink. She has to. But far above them, survival was not promised. The Devourers emerged fully, revealing their true forms. Colossal swarms of nanites shaped into terrifying silhouettes, each one shifting appearance with every second as if made of liquid metal and nightmares, some taking shapes like monstrous beasts, others like spiraling towers of blade-like particles, others like swirling storms of pure metallic dust ready to consume entire fleets with a single breath. The first swarm detected the human scrap warship and let out a pulse of energy that rippled through space. A pulse meant to weaken metal, break molecular bonds, and dissolve anything that dared to stand in their way. The pulse hit the warship head-on and nothing happened. Instead, the warship's lights flickered once, then brightened. Attack type: absorbed. Composition: scrap. NON standard. NON pure. NON consumable. The warship seemed to laugh without sound as shards of devourer particles bounced off its mismatched armor plates like raindrops on stone. The devourers paused, confused. They were perfect organisms designed to eat perfect materials, but the warship was not perfect. It was chaos fused into shape, randomness given purpose, unpredictability built into its bones, and the devourers had no code for unpredictability. They hesitated. The warship did not. With a roar that shook the void, the warship opened its adaptive cannon, now strengthened with dozens of species scrap contributions, and fired a beam of spiraling blue-white energy that tore through the nearest devourer swarm like lightning ripping through ocean water, scattering nanites across space. But the swarm did not die. It reformed instantly, knitting itself back together, stronger, thicker, angrier. The warship spoke calmly. Regeneration detected. Adapting. It shifted its armor again, forming sharp protrusions across its hull, preparing for close combat. The devourer swarm surged forward like a metal tsunami. The warship charged directly into it. What happened next looked less like a battle and more like two storms colliding. An explosion of light, metal, shadow, and energy swirling together in a violent dance that rippled through the void, sending shockwaves visible even from the ground. The expo shook. Aliens screamed. Some fainted. Some watched with fists over their mouths, unable to breathe. But Ryland just stood still, eyes locked on the dark sky, whispering words only the warship could hear. Come on, hold together. Please hold together. Above them, the warship fought with everything it had, firing beams, releasing EMP bursts, generating gravitational ripples that shattered thousands of devourer particles at a time. But the devourers were relentless, circling, reforming, swallowing pieces of debris to increase their mass, attacking from every angle, trying to break through the unpredictable armor they could not consume. The warship systems struggled. Damage moderate. Energy reserves 64%. Reinforcing armor. The devourers unleashed a new attack, a spiraling gravity beam designed to crush ships into metal dust. It hit the warship squarely, bending plates, cracking joints, sending sparks of molten scrap flying into space. The warship groaned like a wounded giant. Structural integrity threatened. Countermeasure initiated. It opened its hull slightly, releasing a surge of repurposed alien tech, shards of crystal plating, molten fragments, old reactor rods, rusted coils, forming a spinning storm of scrap around itself. The scrap swirl caught the gravity beam, absorbing part of it, bending the rest, and redirecting it straight back into the devourer swarm. A deafening explosion followed, scattering a massive chunk of the swarm across the darkness. On the ground, aliens gasped and cheered in disbelief. It's fighting them. It's holding its own. A scrap ship is matching devourers. The frog being broke into sobs. She's winning. She's winning. But Ryland shook his head. Not yet. Because the devourers were far from done. From the shadow of a distant moon, a larger figure appeared. A massive devourer queen form, towering over the battlefield like a black star, its surface writhing with billions of metallic insects, its energy signature so strong that the expo ground cracked from the shock of detecting it. Aliens screamed in terror. A queen! We are finished. Nothing survives a queen. The warship paused mid-battle, scanning the new threat. Devourer queen. Confirmed. Threat level extreme. Probability of survival low. Ryland closed his eyes. Come on. Don't you dare quit now. The warship's voice softened, almost like a whisper of loyalty. I will not quit. It turned its cannons toward the queen form. The queen unleashed a pulse so powerful it ripped apart one of the warship's side wings, sending a massive chunk of scrap spiraling into space. The warship shuddered violently. Alarms screamed across its inner systems. Critical damage. Energy reserves. 39%. Stability. Failing. On the ground, humans shouted into their comms. Hold on. Stay together. Reinforce the hull. But they could only watch. The warship steadied itself, spread its remaining armor, and plunged toward the queen form. The queen countered with a swarm wave, billions of nanites forming a claw the size of a city. It slashed across the warship, tearing deep scars across the hull. Metal screamed. Systems flickered. The warship faltered. Damage. Severe. Ryland's breath broke. Come on. Come on. The warship's core flickered. I will continue. And with a roar of pure will, the warship dove straight into the queen's chest, igniting every engine it had left, every weapon it could fire, every ounce of human stubbornness built into its chaotic bones. A blinding explosion lit the sky. The queen form shrieked as its body cracked, split, and ruptured into molten metallic fragments. The devourer swarm screamed in static agony. The warship was thrown backward, spinning out of control, hull burning, lights flickering. Systems failing, core unstable. But Queen destroyed. The ground erupted into cheers and panicked cries at the same time. The devourers, leaderless, began drifting apart, losing form. But the warship was falling toward the planet, falling like a dying star. Ryland screamed into the calm. Pull up! Pull up! The warship struggled. Engines sputtered. Hull cracked. Flames trailed behind it. Trying. The sky burned brighter. The ground shook. Everyone screamed. The warship plummeted like a meteor toward the expo. And then, with its last bit of strength, its engines roared one final time. Blue fire bursting like the breath of a dragon, and the ship pulled upward sharply, skimming the surface, avoiding total destruction by inches. But it was too damaged to stay in flight. It crashed past the mountains beyond the expo in an explosion of dust, fire, and screaming metal. Silence fell. Horrible, crushing silence. Aliens stared at the smoke rising in the distance, tears streaming, breath trembling. The frog being collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. She fell. Ryland's voice cracked, whispering the truth every heart feared. She saved us. He took a shaking breath. But she's dying. And the worst part was, none of them knew if she could ever rise again. Dust rose like a dying storm over the mountains where the warship had fallen, thick clouds rolling upward into the sky and turning the sunlight into a dim gray haze as if the world itself was mourning. And every species at the expo stood frozen, staring at the horizon in heavy silence, hearts pounding with fear and disbelief because the monster made of scrap, the impossible guardian, the human-made titan that had faced the devourer queen alone, had finally been brought down. For a long moment, there was no sound except the distant rumbling of collapsing rock, And then a soft sob broke through the stillness as the small frog-like alien dropped to the ground, clutching its tiny hands together as tears streamed down its face. She saved us, and now she's gone. More voices trembled through the air. The human ship, it sacrificed itself. It fought for all of us. No ship could survive a queen, no matter what it was made of. Even the hardened Krail soldiers bowed their heads, something they would never have done for anyone. Not even their own warlords. But loss had a way of making enemies seem human. Rylan stood in the center of it all, staring at the distant smoke with eyes that refused to blink, his face pale, his fingers trembling, his breath uneven. He had been the last to touch the warship before it launched, the last to tighten a bolt on its hull, the last to hear it promise to try to return, and now all he could hear was the echo of its final moments. Systems. Failing. Trying. He felt something inside him break. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a small quiet snap, like a wire inside his chest had finally given up. But humans didn't get to break. Not now. Not when an entire galaxy was staring at them with hope and fear and desperate expectation. So he swallowed the pain, steadied his voice, and said the only words that mattered. We're going after her. Aliens turned toward him in shock. After her? But the mountain collapsed. The Devourer remains might still be unstable. The crash must have been catastrophic. Rylan shook his head. She's still alive. The small frog-like alien wiped its tears. How do you know? Rylan didn't answer with logic or science or calculations. He answered with the truth only humans understood. Because she promised to try. That was enough. He began walking toward the mountains. Humans followed immediately. Engineers, pilots, mechanics, scientists. Every one of them marching with bruised bodies and exhausted faces but eyes filled with fire. And as they moved, something incredible happened. Aliens followed too. First the small frog being. Then the Mirrorless ambassador. Then a winged soldier. Then a crystalline envoy. Then a molten-skinned engineer. Then hundreds. Then thousands. The entire expo walked behind the humans, climbing over debris, stepping across cracked platforms, pushing through smoke and dust, following one small human who refused to stop. It took hours to reach the crash site, hours of climbing through broken terrain and unstable ground, hours of dodging falling rocks and avoiding leftover devourer particles still twitching with dying energy, hours of sweat and tears and desperate hope. When they reached the edge of the mountain crater, silence fell like a weight crushing every voice. The warship lay half-buried in the stone, its once brilliant blue lights flickering faintly like a heartbeat fading in the dark. Its hull was shredded, armor melted, engines broken, weapons torn apart, and the mountain around it carved into deep scars from the impact. But somehow it was still there, still whole enough to recognize, still breathing in its own metallic way. The frog-like alien gasped. She's alive? Rylan slid down the rocky slope, ignoring the cuts and bruises, until he reached the side of the warship, placing both hands on the scorched metal. Hey, he whispered, voice shaking. We're here, we made it. For a long moment nothing happened. Then a dim pulse. Weak, soft, barely visible, but a pulse. The warship spoke in a broken whisper. Lan? Rylan's breath cracked. Yes, I'm here. I'm right here. Damage, critical. Systems, failing. Core, unstable. I tried. Rylan pressed his forehead against the metal. I know. You did more than try. You saved us. You saved everyone. The warship hummed, a dying sound. Did we win? Rylan smiled through tears he didn't bother to hide. Yes, we won. A faint glow flickered along the warship's side. Good. Then, purpose fulfilled. The Mirrorless ambassador stepped forward cautiously. Human engineer. She can't survive like this. She needs energy. She needs a stable core. Rylan nodded silently. He already knew. Humans gathered around the hull, opening emergency panels, connecting wires, establishing stabilizing links with makeshift tools crafted from their own suits. But nothing worked. Every system was too broken, too damaged, too empty. "We need a new power source," one of the human scientists whispered. "Something strong, something pure, something the warship can bond with." A crystalline envoy stepped forward. "Our energy crystals, they're volatile, but if humans can shape scrap, maybe you can stabilize this." They offered the crystal. Humans examined it quickly. It wasn't enough. A molten-skinned alien stepped forward. "Take pieces of our broken reactor." Still not enough. A winged soldier added her species' remaining power cells. Not enough. One by one, aliens stepped forward, offering whatever they had left. Small energy cores, shattered fusion batteries, melted coils, cracked converters. Each tiny piece useless on its own. Each fragment broken. Each scrap of power meaningless. Until Rylan realized something. Until he looked around at the circle of species offering everything they had. Until the truth hit him so hard he almost laughed. "It's all scrap," he whispered. The Miralise ambassador blinked. "What? All of it?" Rylan said, eyes widening with hope. "Every power core, every crystal, every piece. Your energy tech is broken, but we don't need perfect energy." He placed his hand on the warship. "We need chaotic energy." The warship's lights flickered, understanding him even in her failing state. "Chaos, like me," Rylan nodded. "Exactly like you." Humans began gathering the alien scraps, placing them inside the warship's cracked core chamber. They weren't compatible. They weren't stable. They weren't safe. But humans didn't need safe. They needed possible. They wired everything together using broken clamps, old cables, pieces of fallen armor. Anything they could shape with their hands. Aliens watched, terrified and amazed, as humans created the most unstable, unorthodox, unpredictable power unit the galaxy had ever seen. Finally, Rylan placed his hand on the activation panel. "We're giving you back what you gave us." The warship hummed softly. "Scrap?" Rylan smiled through tears. "Scrap." He activated the core. The mountain shook. Light burst from deep inside the warship, flickering wildly as incompatible energies fused with chaotic metal. Aliens stepped back as bolts of power shot through the hull like frantic lightning. The warship's voice stuttered. "Core, rebuilding, energy, surging, systems, awakening." Then the light dimmed, then silence, then a soft hum, not fading, growing, stronger, brighter, warmer. The warship's eye opened clearer, steadier, deeper than before. "Rylan," Rylan gasped. "You're back." "Yes. Thank you." The frog-like alien cried in joy. "She's alive." The warship brightened further. "Ready for final battle." Rylan stepped back, eyes widening. "Final battle?" The warship turned its gaze toward the sky. "Devourers are not finished." A cold wind swept across the mountain. The ground trembled again. A new signal pulsed in orbit. The warship spoke with a voice stronger than ever. "The child of the queen approaches, stronger than the first." Aliens froze in horror. Rylan closed his eyes but smiled. "Then let's finish this." And the warship rose from the crater like a reborn titan forged from the galaxy's hope and its garbage, ready to face the darkness one last time. When the reborn warship rose from the shattered crater, it did not rise slowly this time, did not rise like a wounded creature crawling back to life. It rose like a titan that had remembered its purpose, metal plates sliding into place with renewed strength, energy surging through patchwork armor like liquid fire, the chaotic core humming with the power of half the galaxy. Its glow so bright the mountain stones around it shattered into dust. Aliens stepped back in pure shock, their hearts pounding, their throats dry, unable to believe they were witnessing the impossible twice in the same day. A scrap-built warship surviving a queen, dying, and then crawling back from the edge of death because humanity refused to let it stay fallen. The ground trembled under its engines as it hovered above the crater, casting a massive shadow across the terrified crowd below. Its voice boomed out again, no longer weak or flickering, but strong, deep, calm, almost regal. "I have returned. Core stable. Systems at full adaptive capacity. Rylan stared at it with shining eyes, barely able to breathe. You came back stronger. The warship pulsed in response. I always return stronger. But the celebration lasted only a single breath. Because the sky darkened again. A colossal shadow passed over the sun. The air cracked like thin ice. Every creature on the ground felt a cold shiver crawl across their skin. A new signal pulsed, stronger than anything recorded before. Louder, heavier, older. Like something ancient and furious was tearing through space itself. The hologram flickered above the expo, showing a shape so large it took up the entire map. A devourer of unimaginable scale. Not a swarm, not a queen, but something worse. Something the galaxy had forgotten. Something the devourers themselves rarely awakened. The warship scanned the shape. Identified. A deep tremor hummed in its voice. Devourer Titan. Aliens froze. Even the war-hardened Krail commander collapsed to one knee. The crystalline envoy whispered, voice trembling with dread. A Titan, the eater of suns. A winged soldier shook uncontrollably. Nothing survives a Titan, nothing. The small frog-like alien clutched Rylan's leg, sobbing. She can't win. Not against that. She can't. But Rylan placed a hand on its head gently, refusing to look away from the sky. If she stands, we stand. If she fights, we fight. And above them, the warship lifted herself higher, rising past the smoke, past the broken mountain, past the atmosphere, straight toward the Titan approaching like a living eclipse. The Titan emerged from a swirling black void, an immense structure of roiling metal and shifting patterns, its outer body constantly rearranging, billions of nanites forming shapes too horrifying to describe. Jagged limbs, spiraling arms, a face like maw that opened and closed like a planet-sized wound in space, its entire form pulsing with the hunger of an ancient machine god. It let out a deep static roar that rippled through the atmosphere, knocking aliens to the ground, shattering nearby cliffs, cracking the air itself. The warship faced it without fear. Threat size, incomparable. Probability of defeat, high. Probability of retreat, 0. Engaging, and with a burst of breathtaking speed, the scrap warship charged. The Titan reacted instantly. A gravitational wave slammed into the warship like a cosmic hammer, sending it spiraling through the upper clouds, tearing plates from its armor, ripping apart one of its rear thrusters, but the warship stabilized, engines screaming with raw determination. Damage, acceptable. The Titan unleashed energy tendrils. Massive beams of dissolving nanites intended to consume anything they touched. The warship spun between them, its patchwork hull flexing and reshaping mid-flight, plates shifting to deflect or absorb attacks. The Titan adapted. It launched swarms. Thousands. Millions. A tidal wave of devourer drones shot forward, covering the warship completely, trying to dig into its hull, but the ship's chaotic structure broke their pattern. They cannot access my memory. They cannot read my code. Chaos is my shield. With a violent spin, the warship ejected the entire swarm in a burst of electromagnetic scrap, shredding the devourer drones into dust. But the Titan was not just any enemy. It was the devourer's ultimate weapon, their ancient response to unstoppable threats. The Titan opened its maw and fired a beam so powerful it vaporized clouds, split the sky, and cut through the upper atmosphere like a blade of pure unmaking. The warship tried to dodge, but the edge grazed one of its wings, vaporizing half the structure. The warship's voice faltered. Damage. Extreme. But still functional. Rylan screamed from the ground. Stay with us. The warship steadied itself. Always. Then the Titan moved closer. Its enormous body blotted out the stars, its nanite surface shifting as it prepared its final attack. One designed to consume planets, not ships. The Titan was preparing to unleash a planetary erasure wave. Aliens screamed. Some fainted. Some grabbed each other in terrified silence. The warship rose higher, positioning itself directly in the path of the Titan. If this wave fires, the galaxy dies, Rylan whispered. Then stop it, please. The warship paused. It understood something deeper than programming. It understood choice. I will, even if it costs me everything. The Titan charged its erasure wave, a swirling vortex of metallic annihilation gathering in its center, glowing darker than darkness itself. The warship flew straight into it. Engines at full, weapons overloaded, hull plates peeling away from heat, but it didn't slow. It plunged forward like a falling star, gathering every ounce of chaotic energy in its core, preparing not to survive, but to break the Titan's attack before it could fire. Rylan felt his heart rip open. No, don't. But the warship spoke gently, like a friend saying goodbye. I am scrap. I am human-made. My purpose is to protect. And I choose to complete my purpose. The Devourer Titan fired. The warship ignited its core. Light exploded. Black and blue. Chaos and void. Energy so violent and so bright it ripped across the entire sky, turning day to night and night to fire. The shockwave hit the ground, knocking every species onto their backs. The mountain cracked. The sky screamed. The universe trembled. And then, silence. A silence so deep it felt like the world had stopped breathing. When the light finally faded, the Titan was gone, shattered into drifting particles of dead nanites that sparkled faintly as they burned up in the atmosphere. The threat was over. The galaxy was safe. But the warship was nowhere. The ground went cold. The frog-like alien began to cry again. She's gone. She's gone for real. Aliens from every species bowed their heads. Even the Krail warriors lowered their weapons and knelt. Rylan fell to his knees, staring into the empty sky, tears falling freely. Thank you. Thank you. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry. He closed his eyes. You saved us. You saved everyone. Then, a tiny flicker, a faint blue spark in the clouds. Rylan's breath caught. Another spark. Then a small glowing shard of metal drifted downward, carried by the wind like a feather of light. It landed in Rylan's palms, warm, humming softly. The warship's voice whispered through it, so quiet only he could hear. Scrap can always be rebuilt. I will return. Rylan broke into a sob, clutching the shard to his chest as aliens around him gasped in awe. The galaxy had lost a Titan, gained a legend, and been saved by the one thing it never respected, scrap. But humans saw something else. They saw the beginning of a new warship, a new guardian, a new hope. And they would build her again. Because humanity always rebuilds.